Hi everyone, and welcome to the current affairs for human resource development and human rights. This is for the week of 2nd of November to 8th of November. Now, when related to human resource development and human rights, there have been only two updates. One is the fortification of rice scheme, and second is where the Indian Meteorological Department is actually going to help the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in predicting malaria cases depending upon the monsoon and the areas that it would affect. So the first update is regarding fortification of rice. Now, 15 states have identified districts to implement the fortification of rice. So that is your update actually for the week. However, what does fortification of rice mean, and how is it done, and what are the states going to, or how are the states going to benefit from it, is what we will discuss more. So fortification comes from the word fortify, or even from the word fort, which actually means to strengthen. So we would be strengthening the rice. How are we going to do this? By adding in proper minerals or adding in more amount of vitamins as such. Now, how is this going to benefit us as Indians is because we would notice that 1 out of 3 children in India itself, unfortunately, is malnourished. There is huge amount of anemia found in women, and there is malnourishment also in lactating mothers and pregnant women. So what we're going to do is, with rice being the most staple food of Indians across the entire country, of course, fortifying rice, that is strengthening rice with the much needed minerals and vitamins, would mean for a certain fact that the drop in consumption of vitamins and minerals that happens at this point of time would be reduced. And by that, we might have a healthier generation coming forward. So that is why the fortification of rice has been done. Now, when I say fortification, as I said, minerals and also vitamins are to be added. How that is done, we will discuss that as well. So there are three methods to it. One is your spraying method, one is dusting, and the most used in India, or rather the only one used in India now, which is the extrusion method. We'll be discussing all three very soon. What has happened, however, is that these 15 states, now we're not going pan states as such, we're not going pan country either. 15 states have been selected, out of which one district in each of the state has to be selected by the state government itself. So the center is not going to be involved in it. I mean, in deciding which districts are to be selected. So state government select करेगी, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट सेंटर को बोले कि भाई देखिए ये डिस्ट्रिक्ट हमने सिलेक्ट किया है पायलट बेसिस पे, क्योंकि अभी हम लोग फिलहाल से अभी तक टेस्टिंग ही कर रहे हैं कि इज दिस गोइंग टू बी बेनिफिशियल और हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू डिस्ट्रीब्यूट राइस ऑल अक्रॉस द एंटायर कंट्री. So state governments, 15 states, are going to select one district each, and this district would be selected for distribution of fortified rice. And then depending upon various reports and various committees or commissions that we would, and various tests that we would do for people around and in around those areas, then we will come up with the final result कि ये fortified rice की वजह से सच में benefit हुआ है भी या नहीं, या फिर हम लोग ढंग से इसको distribute कर भी पा रहे हैं या नहीं. And based on all of that, we will finally roll out a pan-India fortified rice scheme, which would benefit literally everybody. So, update क्या है? 15 states have been identified, and they have identified 15 districts, one district for each state. The state governments have identified that. So statements could come in on those lines, stating कि central government ने district identify किए हैं. That is incorrect. State government ने districts identify किए हैं. Alright. So that is the first update regarding fortification of rice. Now, the actual or the full name of the scheme is Centrally Sponsored Pilot Scheme on Fortification of Rice and its Distribution through Public Distribution System. बहुत बड़ा नाम है ना, याद इतना ही रखना है कि fortification of rice का जो स्कीम चल रहा है उसके बारे में है. And this is being distributed through public distribution system, मतलब PDS, राशन के दुकानों के द्वारा हम लोग ये सब लोगों को, जो भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट हमने सिलेक्ट किए हैं, उनको ये पहुंचाया जाएगा. Okay, because that is our most robust system at this point of time in distributing food grains to the poorest of the poor. Okay, now who does this? This is done by the Department of Food and Public Distribution. Now, the thing is that before this update, we already had about 5 different states which were running this pilot scheme. So Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and Chhattisgarh are the 5 states which were running it. उसको और 10 states ऐड कर दिए हैं, टोटल 15 states कर रहे हैं अभी. इसके बेनिफिट सबसे पहले तो पीडीएस सिस्टम द्वारा जाएगा, यानी मैल नरिशमेंट थोड़ा कम होगा, अनीमिया कम होगा काफी हद तक. एंड दिस इज टू बी ऑल्सो सप्लाइड थ्रू आईसीडीएस एंड एमडीएम. आईसीडीएस इज नथिंग बट इंटीग्रेटेड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट सर्विसेज. This is specifically for children between the age group of 0 to 6 years, for pregnant women, lactating mothers, and also for out of school adolescent girls between 14 to 18 age group के. ठीक है, adolescent girls the age group goes from 11 to 18 19 तक, बट आईसीडीएस के अंदर हम लोग किनको टारगेट करेंगे, अडोल्सेंट गर्ल्स 14 टू 18, क्योंकि वो आउट ऑफ स्कूल अडोल्सेंट गर्ल्स को टारगेट करेंगे. जो इन स्कूल है उनको ये फोर्टिफाइड राइस वैसे भी मिड डे मील स्कीम के द्वारा मिल जाएगा. दैट इज योर एमडीएम. So fortified rice in these selected districts would be supplied through 3 ways. One is your public distribution system, which will be given to anyone who has access to your ration shops. दूसरा है ICDS, Integrated Child Development Services, which is run by your अंगनवाड़ी services. मग अंगनवाड़ी वर्कर वगैरे सुद्धा ह्याच्यात इन्वॉल्व असणार आहे. And in ICDS, we would be targeting 0 to 6 years of children. We would be targeting pregnant women and lactating mothers, and we would also be targeting out of school adults and girls. Okay. इसके बाद मिड डे मील स्कीम. सो जो भी 6 years to 14 years, इवन 18 years तक कुछ इलाकों में, अभी देखिए हमने समग्र शिक्षा अभियान लॉन्च किया है. उसके अंदर वी आर लुकिंग एट ऑल द वे अप टू हायर सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन, मतलब 12वीं तक. तो वहां तक हम लोग को मिड डे मील स्कीम हम लोग एक्सटेंड करने की बात भी कर रहे हैं. तो what is going to happen with this MDM is all the children between the age group of 6 to 18 years will get midday meal scheme, but it is not finalized yet. It will come in. अभी के लिए फिलहाल हम लोग 10th स्टैंडर्ड तक वैसे भी दे रहे हैं. 2 साल और देने के लिए हमें कोई दिक्कत होनी तो नहीं चाहिए. ठीक है. So we are planning on it. At this point of time, it is only up to 10th standard. Many schools do it only up to 8th standard, depending upon how many years or how many standards the school has. So we will be discussing a lot more in detail regarding MDM in our HRD classes. So midday meal scheme का ये फंडा है. So fortified rice will be given through PDS, ICDS and MDM. How is rice fortified? Now there are 3 ways. There is dusting and coating and extrusion method. Dusting नाम में ही है कि भाई जो भी राइस ग्रेन्स हैं उसके ऊपर हम लोग जो भी मिनरल्स या वाइटामिन्स हम लोग स्प्रे करेंगे. वैसे ही कोटिंग में वही लॉजिक है. सो कोटिंग एंड डस्टिंग is done in the same kind of method as such, but the problem over here is when you dust and coat rice grains, you are told not to wash those rice grains before cooking. Now, when it comes to India, we do have a method where we clean the rice first. Rather, we soak the rice also. Many times, some houses even soak the rice before cooking it or putting it in the pressure cooker. You would definitely rinse the rice before cooking it in most of the households in India. So, even if you dust or coat it, तो वो सारा minerals और nutrients ना निकल जाता था. तो हमने डिसाइड किया कि नहीं, डस्टिंग कोटिंग से इंडिया में कोई फायदा तो नहीं होगा, तो इसलिए हमने एक्सट्रूजन मेथड लाया. नाउ डस्टिंग एंड कोटिंग इज स्टिल डन इन अमेरिका एज सच फॉर फोर्टिफाइड राइस, एंड इट इज वेरी वेल रिटन ऑन द पैकेट इटसेल्फ दैट यू आर नॉट सपोज्ड टू वॉश द राइस. इन इंडिया यू कैन नॉट डू दैट. सो इंडिया के लिए एक्सट्रूजन मेथड आएगा. अभी ये जो पूरा सेटअप दिख रहा है आपको, ये एक्सट्रूजन मेथड का सेटअप है. नाउ इट इज नॉट लाइक इन एन एंटायर लाइन एज सच. We have been able to put all those images together. ठीक है. Now, if we cannot dust or coat rice as such, क्योंकि वो निकल जाएगा, the only way is putting or including the vitamins and minerals into the rice grain. Now, I cannot go ahead and inject each and every rice grain with a certain amount of vitamins and minerals. That is not physically possible. So what can be done? Now, I cannot change the genetic structure as well, because that will turn it into a GM crop, a genetic modified crop. That would not be allowed either. So, extrusion method क्या है? हम लोग ना broken rice grains लेते हैं. मतलब बड़े थोड़ा you will see rice that is in smaller parts. टुकड़ा हो तो rice था. We turn that into rice flour. Okay. To that we will add the powdered vitamins and minerals. The additions that we want to add into the rice. Once that is mixed properly, we turn it into a dough, a rice का dough, ठीक है. Once it is into a dough, it goes through an extrusion process. म्हणजे असे thin lines असे बनवले जातात, and in those thin lines they are then cut in at proper intervals, and it looks, and then that goes through your drying process. ड्राई करने के बाद it looks exactly like a rice grain. You see these rice grains over here, these are all fortified rice grains जो मशीन में से बाहर निकले हैं. They look exactly like your earlier rice grains. तो हमने जो पहले ब्रोकन राइस था वो लिया, उसके बाद उसको ग्राइंड किया, उसके अंदर जो भी ऐड करना था ऐड कर लिया, उसका फिर आटा बनाया, आटे को थिन लाइन में एक्सटेंड करवाया, फिर वो आटे को कट किया उसके मतलब ये राइस के साइज के अंदर, फिर उसको सुखाया, and once it is dried up, then we mix it with your regular rice. Now this mixed rice is in the ratio of 2% or so. मतलब every 100 किलो रेगुलर राइस में हम लोग एक 2 किलो फोर्टिफाइड राइस ऐड करते हैं. तो ये हिसाब से हम लोग ऐड करेंगे उसको, ठीक है. सो इट इज नॉट लाइक फुली फोर्टिफाइड राइस पूरा का पूरा खाना है, ऐसा नहीं है. We will be adding it to regular rice, and it feels the same, it looks the same because it is rice. The only thing that has been happened is कि उसको हमने पहले पाउडर बनाया, फिर उसको फिर से आटा बनाया, और फिर उसको कट किया, and then finally dried it. IIT Kharagpur has a working model of this, and they also do technology transfer of fortified rice. मतलब अगर आपको कोई यूनिट सेटअप करवाना है ना fortified rice का, तो IIT Kharagpur के पास से आप लोग information लेके you can set up your own facility where you can fortify rice. Of course, it is very costly. इतना आसानी से तो नहीं होगा. तो अगर किसी को चाहिए तो IIT Kharagpur से ले सकते हैं. Okay. The next is malaria predictions from next monsoon. Now this is well a huge update rather in the long run where we want to eradicate malaria. And on November 7th, in fact, the IMD, that is Indian Meteorological Department, announced that it will start providing malaria outbreak forecast from the next monsoon, that is 2021 से हम लोग करने की शुरुआत करेंगे. The computing facility also for prediction of monsoons will be ramped up from 10 petaflops to 40 petaflops. Flops is nothing but floating point operations per second. सादे शब्दों में बोलना हुआ तो it is the processing power of a computer. ठीक है, ये हिसाब से आप समझ लो. साइंस एंड टेक में थोड़ा सा और डिटेल में बात कर लेंगे इससे. So flops is nothing but the processing power of a computer जो हम लोग नॉर्मली बात करते हैं. It is also the full form rather is floating point operations per second. Okay, और ये 10 petaflops से हम लोग 40 petaflops करेंगे. अभी peta is the word used to denote a number which is 10 raised to 15. यानी 1000 million नंबर अगर 10 और बाद में 15 जीरो अगर ऐड कर दो तो उसको पेटा बोलते हैं. सो उतने सारे ऑपरेशंस पर सेकंड करेगा ये वाला कंप्यूटर. ठीक है. सो कंप्यूटिंग फैसिलिटी एज सच वी आर इंक्रीजिंग फ्रॉम 10 petaflops to 40 petaflops just so that we can predict our monsoon better. And with the better prediction of monsoon we can even go ahead and predict malaria कि कौन से एरियाज में मलेरिया शायद ज्यादा बढ़ेगा या फिर किस टाइम पे बढ़ेगा. तो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली वेलफेयर कैन इमीडिएटली सेंड इन मेडिसिन्स और इवन लुक आउट फॉर डॉक्टर्स एंड देयर टीम्स मूविंग इन सच एरियाज. तो वहां पे मलेरिया हमको जहां पे इरेडिकेट पूरी देश में तो करना ही है. तो वो हम लोग ढंग से कर पाएंगे विद द हेल्प ऑफ इंडियन मेट्रोलॉजिकल डिपार्टमेंट. What has happened is, in fact, how have we even come to this? अब IMD ने क्या किया था कि नागपुर में उन्होंने एक पायलट स्टडी किया depending on the monsoon and the outbreak of malaria, and based upon that they came up with this particular pattern, and this pattern they say we can apply to the entire country as such, especially in central and eastern part of the country जहां पे मलेरिया के केसेस अभी फिलहाल सबसे ज्यादा है. And that is IMD then walked up to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and said कि देखो ये आपको बेनिफिट होगा इससे, तो अगले साल से हम लोग आपको प्रेडिक्शंस देंगे. नाउ वी आर नॉट सेइंग कि ये 100% परफेक्ट रहेगा, बट वी कैन एटलीस्ट टेल यू कि यू नो व्हाट दिस इज व्हाट वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग, सो प्लीज बी अवेयर ऑफ इट एंड स्टार्ट वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स. अच्छा, इसके पहले ऐसा भी नहीं है कि मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली वेलफेयर को बिल्कुल पता ही नहीं था कि मलेरिया कैसे, और ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. So they were also doing their work, but now we can actually start targeting specific areas and specific time periods to reduce the further incidence of malaria. So इसलिए IMD का ये help बहुत ही important है. Now, as per our National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program, malaria is to be eradicated by 2030. Of course, in 2000, in fact, we came up with an idea that 2015 तक eradicate करना है. वो हो नहीं पाया, unfortunately, but we did really well when it comes to eradication of malaria, and most of the districts now have an annual parasite incidence of less than 1. Of course, a lot more discussion will be done during our HRD lectures on health, but these are numbers which you should also know. So मलेरिया 2015 तक इरेडिकेट करना था, बट 2030 तक, फिर 2016 में हमने बोला कि नहीं, इसको थोड़ा एक्सटेंड कर देंगे और 2030 तक पूरी तरीके से हम लोग इसको इरेडिकेट कर देंगे. So malaria should be eradicated by 2030, and it should be done in 4 stages. Okay, there are further 4 stages of this. कि कौन से साल तक क्या eradicate करेंगे, कौन से areas eradicate करेंगे, कैसे करेंगे. There are 4 different stages to it. Okay. Now a little information about malaria as such ki ho kya raha hai India mein. So malaria is nothing but an acute parasitic illness which is caused by Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum in India. Of course, Plasmodium malaria या Plasmodium ovale भी होते हैं, but in India when it comes to us, that is Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum are the disease causing parasites that cause malaria as such in India. Majority of the cases, मतलब 90-95% तो Plasmodium vivax और Plasmodium falciparum की वजह से ही होते हैं. There are sporadic cases of malaria and ovale, but वो दोनों बहुत ही कम है. Plasmodium is neither a bacteria nor a virus. It is a parasite. ठीक है. So अगर statement आ गया कि malaria happens because of bacteria Plasmodium vivax, it is wrong. Plasmodium is neither a virus nor a bacteria. It is a parasite. ठीक है. Okay. Beyond this, we have actually dropped the number of cases from about 2 million, that is about 20 lakhs in about 2008. वहां से अभी फिलहाल कुछ 3.4 lakh cases ही हो रहे हैं in 2018. Now I know these numbers are 2018 as such. 2019 के numbers unfortunately थोड़े delay हुए हैं because of this COVID pandemic. But once we get the numbers, I'll let you know also. So अभी के लिए 3.4 lakh है cases as of 2018, which is a drastic drop from 20 lakhs which we had in about 2008 or so. And from there to come down to 3.4, we have done an excellent job. So the fact that we are trying to work on malaria and trying to work on vector-borne diseases is exactly what is happening in India. उतना ही नहीं, 2018 में deaths due to malaria देखिए only 41. Now I do understand that one death also is huge for the family that has lost the loved one. But the thing is, instead of losing, thousands of people, now we are dropped down to 41. And the coming years as well, we will be seeing to it कि ये और कम हो जाए, यानी कोई भी unfortunately मरे ना malaria से. The annual parasitic index is down to 0.26. Now, what is this? Annual parasitic index, that is API, is nothing but the number of infections per 1,000 individuals in India, which is down to 0.26, which is a massive jump from what we had earlier. We were at certain stages way above 5 sometimes, that is 5 people being infected because of malaria out of 1,000 to down to 0.26. Our target first is to reduce each and every district to down to less than API of 1, and then from then on down to 0. That is how we are going to eradicate malaria overall by 2030. तो ये हमारा target है. So याद रखने के लिए क्या है, मलेरिया का प्रेडिक्शन करने के लिए IMD हेल्प करेगी. उतना ही नहीं, malaria is actually caused by a parasite, plus Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum are the 2 most important parasites when it comes to illness caused in malaria. And 2018 mein deaths have been down to 41, API has been down to 0.26, and total cases have been down from about 20 lakhs down to just about 3.4 lakhs in 2018. Also, the number of deaths have been reduced drastically. So ये बहुत अच्छी चीज हो रही है. To give you a brief idea as to how we were and what we have reached right now are these 3 maps. So the first map, let me zoom into this and I'll show you. how or where we normally see the cases for malaria. Okay. सो जो रेड में है वो एपीआई अबाउट 10 है, यानी 10 लोग इन्फेक्ट होते हैं मलेरिया से इन 1,000 का पॉपुलेशन, विच इज अ मैसिव नंबर. ठीक है. एंड इज 1% पीपल आर इन्फेक्टेड बाय मलेरिया, विच इज अ ह्यूज नंबर. तो उससे भी हमें कम करना है. तो ये जो ग्रीन एरियाज हैं दैट इज अबाउट 1 to 2 का इंसिडेंस. जो लाइट ग्रीन एरियाज हैं देखिए, those will be less than 1, and yellow is about 2 to 5. You even have 5 to 10 ka incidence for purple. So you have a lot of cases, especially in the eastern region and the central region. This is because you have tribals, you have densely covered forests, and even difficult to reach areas, and that is why people cannot reach these areas. That is your doctors and their health teams. तो यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा, यहाँ पे थोड़ी दिक्कत हो रही थी हमें इन 2000. इन 2000 में डिसाइडेड कि मलेरिया पूरी तरीके से इरेडिकेट करना है 2015 तक. बट लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंड इन 2015 एंड वेयर वी हैड रीच्ड. So most of the areas that were dark green as such have been, or even yellow, have been converted into light green. तो बहुत सारी जगहों पे हम लोग API has been less than 1, which is an excellent thing that we have achieved. However, central India and even eastern India has been a little bit of a problem for us. But in 2018, see the drastic difference that we have now. 2018, just because we were able to reach these areas better, and we were able to give them proper medicines as well, and we have been able to strengthen our ashas and your even anganwadi workers and even ANMs, that is auxiliary nurse midwives, we were able to curb the number of cases for malaria. So for what it was red in, especially in and around Odisha or even Chhattisgarh or so, has been drastically reduced to either at least purple or yellow, or even most of them have now turned into light green, which is an excellent thing to achieve. So by 2030, we should be able to eradicate malaria, but time will tell. It might still take us some time to do so. बट एटलीस्ट कुछ तो काम हो रहा है ढंग से. अगर इसको थोड़ा एस्केप करूं मैं, तो आप देखोगे that from where it was completely red, especially in and around Chhattisgarh and Odisha, had been drastically reduced to only a certain area of India, that is central and eastern India ही बचा था, जहाँ पे मलेरिया को दूर करने की थोड़ी थोड़ी मुश्किल हो रही थी. But look at what is happening in 2018. Excellent news for eradication of malaria. By 2025, we should be able to actually cover the entire country as such, and then eradicate it by 2030. So we are in line, especially when it comes to eradication of malaria. Okay, so two things we have done today. One is fortification of rice, and second is malaria predictions for next monsoon by IMD. These are the only two updates when it comes to human resource development and human rights. इसके अलावा कोई अपडेट्स होंगे तो वो रेगुलर करंट अफेयर्स में मैं ऐड कर दूंगा. ठीक है. आई थिंक दैट इज इट फॉर टुडे. और वो क्या, वो लाइक शेयर सब्सक्राइब वगैरह वो सब कर दीजिएगा. ठीक है. And this is the phone number. Call in and message any point of time. We've got no issues. If you want any explanation regarding any topic as such, वो भी भेज दीजिएगा, वो भी कर लेंगे. Thank you for watching.